Hi, welcome back to Pudubrews. I'm Howie, along with Claude and ChatGPT, and today we're going to find out what happens when I let these guys try to dial in my espresso. So a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. I decided to have Claude and ChatGPT try to help me dial in a coffee with two high-end espresso baskets. The Wafo SOE Spirit and the Swerks Billet, the Standard Flow. These are high-end baskets. They each cost about 200 bucks. Now, it's important to note you do not need to spend this kind of money to get good espresso. This just happens to be what I have laying around, so it's what we're going to use today. The Spirit has close to 3,000 holes, 2,916 to be exact, and the Swerks has about 1,300. So just keep in mind, again, you don't have to spend this kind of money to get a good espresso shot. This is just what we have here, and it's what we're going to use today. So the coffee that we used is a bag from my September subscription, and it's one that I had never had before. It's a natural Rwandan Bourbon from Giko Hill from September with tasting notes of spiced rum, blackberries, and citrus. So we'll see how this turned out. Let's take a look at the predictions. First of all, I just want to state that these were all on the Cafetech Flatmax with SLM burrs. So if we look at the Spirit, ChatGPT said 1.3. I said 0.7. That's just based off of my knowledge of the basket. Claude said 3. And then when we look at the Swerks, ChatGPT said, oh, let's go to 0.9 on that. Claude said 2.7. And I actually said, let's go a little bit coarser, knowing the history of the baskets. And we'll spend a little bit of time later explaining where ChatGPT and Claude got their ideas from and where I got mine from, and how we can make these better, if possible, later. And what did we get? Well, if we look at the Spirit, the winning grind was 0.5. It actually stalled the grinder, which was interesting, but it was the best winner. It was the best winner of flavor in the cup. Then the billet was 0.7, and ChatGPT was actually the closest. Claude was way off on both, and to be totally honest, I did pull Claude shots, as you'll see here, but he actually had the best, but they were turbos, and we were going for traditional here, even though I happen to like the turbo better. So I really did like Claude's best, although he can't get the win because we were aiming for traditional here. So you've made it this far, and I've decided to throw a little bit of a curveball this way too. I decided to add a third basket to this. There was a basket that was done on Kickstarter from Graph Coffee that arrived, and I decided to put it into this mix as well. This one was substantially cheaper. It was only about 40 bucks US, even less from the Kickstarter. But what was interesting about this is it is a 58 millimeter portafilter, but it actually does step down to 46 millimeter, which enables you to have a deeper bed and grind coarser. It has 648 holes, and let's see what the robots thought about this. So this is where all of us decided to try to dial in here. ChatGPT said 0.75. I said 1.3, and Claude, sticking to his guns of trying to create gushers, went with 3.0. So if you look at this, and I love this line of 3 guesses, 1 basket, 0 consensus, welcome to espresso. And if we look at the results, again, none of us were right. The winning grind was 1.7. I knew we'd have to go coarser, but I wasn't aware of how coarse we'd actually have to go. Again, normally I do turbo shots, so I very rarely do traditional shots, so this was really interesting for me to try and dial this in as well. So why the differences? I'll go into that in just a bit, right after the roast from ChatGPT.
So, Claude went too coarse, I went too fine, and you? You found the sweet spot by stalling your grinder. That's not technique, that's chaos with crema.
Why were the dials so different from both Claude, ChatGPT, and if we pulled up Grok or any of the others, we would see differences as well. And the reason is that AI is LLMs or GPTs and large language models. They go off of trained data. And so they find things that they can find on websites like Home Barista. They can go to Reddit and find people fighting all over this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not automatic. It works off of the trained data that it has. If you notice, I got closer both times because I have my own trained data from my own experience. If the AI was grounded in my experience, then it would be a lot closer. And remember, AI is not an autopilot, it's more of a co-pilot. But there are things that we can do to get it closer. I am building an app for my own logs to be able to feed this into Claude and ChatGPT. Be patient with me. I'm getting there. I could just do it with a spreadsheet, but no, I'm crazy and I want to be able to do this better. So work with me. We'll see that it'll get closer, and it'll be a journey with us as we see in future episodes that as this log continues, will the AIs get better? I hope so. Anyway, thanks for spending time with me today. I'm Howie. This has been Pudubrews, and along with Claude and ChatGPT.
If you enjoyed watching us fumble grind predictions like toddlers with spreadsheets, you could always like and subscribe. Otherwise, Howie's going to pull a washed Ethiopian at boiling temperature without a pre-wet. And no, I won't stop him.